Short on cash and on time. The twice impeached, quadruple indicted, disgraced ex-president, who was found liable for sexual abuse, has just 48 hours from now to post a bond for his $464 million civil fraud judgment to prevent New York Attorney General Letitia James from being able to collect while he appeals. And although Trump may be spouting on Truth Social that he has $500 million in cash, his lawyers are telling a different story in a court filing earlier this week, saying that they have been, quote, unsuccessful in their efforts to obtain a bond. Trump did get some good news yesterday when investors approved a plan to take his struggling social media company public, which could see him possibly holding stock worth up to $3 billion. But that stock may be tied up for at least 6 months. So will it be too little, too late? Joining me now is Renee Zaitsev, a partner at Boies Schiller Flexner. Renee, it's so good to see you. Let's talk about the last thing that we just talked about, which is this merger that went through on Friday. The potential for Trump to net billions of dollars has a lot of people chatting because they think that that will help him with his bond that is due on Monday. Talk us briefly through the logistics of why that, I guess, stake in this new company will not be able to help him in his New York case.
Thank you, Katie. Well, I'm so happy to be here. As you said, the stockholders of the company approved the merger to go forward, and that could close as soon as next week. The problem is that Trump shares are subject to a lockup, which prevents him from selling those shares for 6 months. Now, it's possible that the board of directors could decide to modify that lockup agreement, but that creates serious fiduciary challenges for them, especially this being a Delaware company where controlling stockholder transactions are very closely scrutinized. And so that would be probably very likely to lead to litigation were the board to do that. The other problems with trying to use these shares in order to help with his situation in the New York judgment enforcement efforts is that this is a meme stock. I mean, it's really another AMC situation. The fundamentals of this company are completely unmoored from the stock price. The company has $3 million of revenues. It's forecasting losses into the foreseeable future. And somehow it's going to have a market cap in the billions of dollars. I think it would be, I'm not sure that surety would find that that was an appropriate source of collateral for a bond. It's possible that some private lender might feel differently.
So, Renee, this deadline on Monday is right around the corner. The appeals court could actually issue or grant a discretionary stay if Trump can't come up with the bond surety to stop execution on that judgment. What are the chances, though, of that happening, considering the filings that have gone back and forth with this appellate court on both sides? And what do you think that compromise might look like? Just maybe less of a bond that he would have to post?
So, Katie, let's be clear about one thing. Trump doesn't need this bond to appeal the judgment. What he needs this bond to do is to be able to stay enforcement of the judgment pending the appeal. And if he can't post the bond, then the only way he can stay the enforcement is to get a discretionary stay, as you just mentioned. Now, in order to do that, he has to be able to convince the appellate court that he not only has a meritorious appeal, but also that he would be irreparably harmed if the stay is not granted. So irreparable harm is a legal term, and by definition, it means that your harm cannot be remedied by money damages. Trump's arguments here are that if a stay is not granted, he would have to sell his properties in a fire sale. But generally speaking, the loss of investment or commercial properties under New York law is not considered to be irreparable harm. It's different, of course, if it's your home or if he can show that these properties are unique in some way. But when it's just a commercial investment, courts generally find that the harm can be remedied through money damages. So I don't think my personal view is I don't think he's got a high chance of success, but anything is possible. The appellate court might cut him a break.
And then, Renee, assuming arguendo Trump does not get that bond and that he doesn't get a discretionary stay issued by an appeals court, let's talk about what Letitia James, her options are. We know that she went to Westchester County to record the judgment there. We know that Trump has assets there. Is she able to do that across the United States where any of Trump's assets and the other defendants' assets are currently located?
Well, Katie, New York is a very creditor-friendly state. We take creditors' rights seriously here, and our law has a lot of options for creditors to enforce their judgments. Even before we get to his properties, she can very, very easily go ahead and freeze his bank accounts. And all she has to do that is to serve restraining notices on the banks where he holds accounts, and she can then have a sheriff execute on those accounts, or she can commence a turnover proceeding directing the banks directly to turn over the assets in those accounts. And speaking of turnover proceedings, she can actually do that for any asset that Trump owns, no matter where it is located, across the country, across the world. That includes things like stock that he owns, LLC member interests, intellectual property, cars, planes, jewelry, furniture, personal property. She can seek an order directing that Trump turn over those assets to her, and then those assets can be auctioned.
Let's briefly talk about the independent court monitor that's been on this case for a few years now. Retired Judge Barbara Jones, Justice Engoron, just a couple of days ago, entering a beefed up order, allowing her to actually have more control over the finances of these defendants like Trump and Trump Org. What does it say to you that there's a provision that was added that said that she had to be notified if any bond surety applications were done by Trump Organization?
Well, I think, one of the interesting points that the Attorney General made in her response to Trump's application for a discretionary stay is that the Trump Organization moved $40 million out of the company without telling the independent monitor. So I think it certainly signals a concern by the court that those types of antics could keep happening.
If it makes you feel any better, I have already put evac on alert. He's ready to go if it comes to that. General, I can assure you.
General, let me into the war room to see you, so I had to hack my way onto this frequency.
This better be critical, Wheelie.
Sir, come on, when is it not, please? Okay, couple of things. I'm running low on the dough. I was thinking about taking a couple of months sick leave, maybe starting today. And, oh yeah. I intercepted a transmission from Megatron.
Then send it through.
Yes, sir, right away, sir. And so I'll assume that we're caught on the other stuff.
This is your last warning, insects. Relinquish what remains of the Allspark.
So who's the insect? You? What? Who's the insect?
Protect you. They were defeated on our world, and we will defeat them here.
This was just a diversion. Security, please bring up. This rabbit, she's already inside. Deeds! Give me an update on that reserve. Boss readiness. What was his name? What was it?
Evac, sir.
Right, evac.
She's right in front.
We are facing a heavy, sustained attack. They appear to be after the Allspark. General! You need to immediately hold on. National security advisor. Stand down. Check it out. The business operations. The amateurs are suicide mission.